Hello, my name's Jonathan Hill, and this afternoon I'm going to be taking you along the route of a hitherto unknown Roman road which runs to the east of Guildford. Our starting point is going to be the steeple of St John's Church, Merrow. The road itself runs from Guildford to Effingham. The reason why we know it's a road is because there are churches at Merrow, West London, East London, West Horsley and Effingham. All 5 of those churches make a perfectly straight line, and this we know because we can use the line drawing facility on Google Maps. It is quite surprising to find these 5 churches built in such a straight line. This discovery gives us a new insight into the early history of this part of Surrey and its colonisation by the Saxon mercenaries who had been employed to protect England against invasion and who never went home. As we might expect, the road continues on the same bearing beyond Merrow to the site of the medieval friary in Guildford, and then seems to follow the route of the A31 up to the top of the North Downs at the junction of the A3 and the A31. I read that Guildford was a very early planned Saxon town, dating from 8 or 900 AD. And here I've marked the line of the defensive ditch, and you can see that it's parallel to the line of the road. East of Effingham, the line of churches makes a slight turn to the north, crossing the River Mole at the prehistoric ford at Leatherhead Bridge, and then ends at the prehistoric earthworks high on the North Downs at Ashstead and St Giles Church. From here it would have once been possible to see the site of Roman London Bridge, but now Epsom Hospital is in the way. This is the alignment of the Roman road the Saxons called Stane Street, from London to Epsom, complete with medieval churches and an abbey built along the way. The section from Merrow to Effingham is my favourite, for I was born and bred a Horsley boy. Let's have a quick look inside Merrow Church and then make our way towards Effingham. It's dedicated to St John the Evangelist, believed to be the 1st century author of parts of the Christian Bible. He's probably best known for that spooky Christmas reading that begins, "In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God, and the Word came and dwelt among us." It would be nice to be able to tell you that the line of the road goes into Clarendon Park through these magnificent gold gates just outside Merrow, but in fact it goes through a hedge into the park at the Park and Ride roundabout a little further on. It would also be nice to be able to tell you that the Temple Court Farm on the left a little further on was so called after a Roman temple, but in fact it was once owned by the Knights Templar in the 12th century. The Knights Templar were founded to protect pilgrims going to Jerusalem, but over the years they grew in both power and also financially until they became major bankers in Europe. Clarendon Park House lies a little further along the road, and tragically, on the 29th of April 2015, it caught fire and was burnt to a shell. The interior is a complete wreck. It doesn't seem that it'll ever be fully restored. The road itself ran just 30 metres on the left-hand side of the house. When I was young, I used to ride my motorcycle over to East Clarendon from Horsley to meet up with my friends for a drink. Next to the Queen's Head is the pretty little church of St Thomas of Canterbury. The street which runs in front of the pub and the church is the only part of our Roman road which is still in use today. Thomas à Becket, once a close friend of King Henry II, became increasingly rebellious after being made Archbishop of Canterbury. "Will no one rid me of this turbulent priest?" the king shouted, so the story goes, and 4 knights galloped off to Canterbury, where they slew him in front of the cathedral's high altar. The road in front of the church is called the street. In Saxon times, a street was a road that was paved or gravelled. It continues straight to the gate into Hatchlands Park and then sweeps gently away to the south. Hatchlands House is ahead, and the path of the Roman road is actually right down that garden path just slightly to the right. What's interesting, what I haven't noticed before, is that you can look backwards and you can see the high ground to the west of Guildford from here. Another small section of the road outside St Mary's Church, West Horsley, and you can see how very close it is to the church, just metres away. You can see the line of the road. It went over the grass in front of me and then crossed the main road just by that little lodge house there. And we're just going to have a quick look at that lodge house now, because it will be familiar to many people, because we're outside West Horsley Place, where they filmed all the episodes of the BBC television series Ghosts. No ghosts here, but just the ghost of an old Roman road, one which passed within a few metres of where we are now.
3, 2, 1.
West Horsley Place, once the home of Sir Walter Raleigh, who brought potatoes and tobacco back from America and spread his cloak over the mud in front of Queen Elizabeth I, now is celebrating the Jubilee of Queen Elizabeth II. This is the back entrance to Horsley Towers. Used to be the farm buildings, the model farm that Lord Lovelace built when he lived here. Now, through that archway, and I'm not quite sure which side, one or t'other, there's beams built into the wall, part of the old medieval manor of East Horsley. Now, our yellow line that we've been following goes through the archway here, but unfortunately I've never been able to find the remains of the manor house. Ada Lovelace lived here for a while. She's remembered now as the first ever lady computer programmer. She was the daughter of Lord Byron, certainly one of the greatest English poets ever. When he had to leave England in disgrace, her mother, fearing that her intelligent and precocious daughter might go bad like her father, sent her off to learn maths with her friend, the great mathematician and teacher Julius Somerville. As Lady Lovelace, she moved in the highest social circles with people who loved science, technology and maths. It was here that she met Charles Babbage, who was building a calculating machine that could be programmed with punched cards, similar to those used on a mechanized loom. Here we are at St Lawrence's Church, Effingham, the end of our straight line of churches from Merrow. It's been an interesting trip, hope you've enjoyed it. But before I go, I just want to take you into St Lawrence's and we can have a little look around at some of the more interesting things to see there. So somewhere the road went and change direction towards Ashtead. And it could be this side of the wall, or it could be the other side of the wall. And we'll never know, because obviously the churchyard has been turned over so many times in the years as more and more people got buried here. I remember Barnes Wallis. He was still around when I was young, into his 80s, very hale, very fit, and he gave away the prizes at my school. I hope he doesn't bring any bombs along with him, said an old gentleman when I was talking about the impending visit. So here we are in the corner of the churchyard, and you can see there's a gap in the wall. We're going to walk through to that, and behind it there's a footpath. Not only is it a footpath, but it's a very, very straight footpath that goes on perfectly straight until Bookham. And it's actually on the line of the line that goes from here to Ashtead via Leatherhead Ford. So this might well be our Roman road that we've been looking so hard to find.